Cool. This will be video two of my YouTube course, How to Make It Trading ES Futures. On this video, we're gonna run down, give a run over, like considering if trading is for you. What are things you should consider? What are realistic goals? How do you get started? It's kind of a secondary intro to the course, if you will. Before we get rolling, let me see if I can hop over. This is my trading view screen. Just an example of a trade I took last night. This was futures open on Sunday night and into the morning. Kind of interesting price action we've been having here. This is December 30th, so we're right after the Christmas holidays. We had kind of a like Santa Claus rally on Christmas Eve where we pumped up a lot and then we kind of crabbed, went up again. This was all Christmas Eve, huh? That was quite a day. And really we've just been like retracing that ever since then. So this trade I took based on the awesome oscillator here. You can see there's a little divergence. We'll like pretty exhaustively cover all of the trade signals and how I actually take trades later. But just to give an example, so this range candle about here was when the trade was confirmed and we got like a little bit of a retracement on the one after that. So I got a super good entry, entered with two contracts. This was a 3R trade. So I think like I kind of fumbled it or I actually entered a long accidentally first off and then I had to close that and enter the short. I'm still in the holiday mindset a little bit, but I ended up making, I think, yeah, $2,640 from this trade. This was just my trade taken last night with two contracts of the ES. So just to show that this system does in fact work and you can just make money by basically like trawling very simple signals. This morning I've just been staying flat, huge dump, so wasn't looking to get into a long too early. It looks like we're kind of like back at a zone where we could keep dumping or go up from here, but this is kind of a glimpse into, thought process and how trades actually work in real time. So we'll jump on over to the presentation, get started. Hopefully this shows up like it should. Um, yeah. So this will be a part two, kind of run over if you are considering if trading is for you, like what kind of people will get the most out of this course, all that. Let's get started. Disclaimer as always, this is not financial advice. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Everything I say is a thought experiment and is not prescriptively telling you to go trade or spend actual money. Better not do that. So, how do I know if I have what it takes to be a pro trader? If you're kind of starting to dip your toes into this world, you may be wondering this question. Um, so hopefully we can shed a little bit of light on it. Like if you are someone that should consider like undergoing training, putting the time in, if this is something that will be worth it to you. What skills, competencies are needed, and what are good checks if someone has them? Basic skills, like you need internet access, obviously. If you don't have a computer, you don't have internet access, things aren't going to go very well. So you need like a basic level of internet competency, which I think, if you've already ended up here, you probably are at. Um, you need to be able to at least check email and use Twitter, probably. And just very baseline competencies that probably my parents could do. Um, so this is optional, more of a thought experiment than anything. If you want to literally go and do this, then uh, by all means, it will probably be fun. So these are Balatro and Slay the Spire. These are two Steam games. I guess they're roguelikes is what they're called. They're both kind of deck builders where you start out, you build a deck, you employ strategies, card synergies, and combos to like battle your way through levels. In Balatro, it's poker themed. You're battling against like environmental checks as you go along, which are like the blinds and bosses that you battle, building your deck and getting jokers and making combos. Slay the Spire, you're like a hero battling some kind of dungeon crawl where you move through levels and fight enemies and bosses and get treasure, improve your deck, improve synergies and get relics. So why do I bring these up in a course about trading? I think that if you're able to play either of these games, it can serve as good intelligent checks, intelligence checks for you. Like the skills of analysis, strategy, figuring out synergies, the basic math involved. Both of them involve running a deck of cards. So, probabilities of drawing cards at certain times, taking calculated risks that have a reward behind them. So if you are like highly lacking in confidence, you haven't played either of these games or a lot of games in the same vein, um, this very well could be something that's worth checking out. I would like, choose a character in Slay the Spire or choose a deck in Balatro and battle until you can get through the highest level. Spend time. You can journal if you want to go hardcore with it, but, analyze what works well. Keep track of what you're learning as you go along. Like, what are things in this game that will help me succeed? What are things that are bad that should be avoided? If you're able to go through that and figure that out, I think um, like you will have something to look at, which will tell you that you're able to have the skills to be successful trading. I think trading consistently and making money is not necessarily harder than like mastering either of these games or getting to a high level of playing them. And it's also just fun. Like if you're someone that enjoys trading, you would probably enjoy playing these games on your own time. So might just be something worth looking into as it is. I'm not getting paid by either of these games, but I do enjoy both of them. Other activities that are similar, um, poker, like learning poker strategy. There's a ton of resources on poker out there. If you're somebody that's played poker and has enjoyed it, like diving into poker strategy and trying to get good at it, might be worthwhile. There are definitely a lot of like parallels to trading, things like outcome independent thinking, where, I made the best play I could with the information I had. I may have lost or won, but the important thing is that, my play was how it should have been. The actual, randomness and luck involved is not something I should either praise myself for if I'm on the right side of, or beat myself up on if I'm on the bad beat side of poor luck. Magic the Gathering's another, um, analytical skill set. If you want to go to Magic drafts and play Magic, try and figure out what it takes to be like the person who performs the best at your card shop. Look at what other people are doing well, look at what they're doing poorly, look at card sets beforehand and figure out good synergies. If you're able to do that, you're able to make money trading, I would argue. Some prerequisites, aside from like the personal skills needed to undertake this endeavor, you need computer access. So the best thing is probably, some kind of entry or low level job where you're at a computer and you can pull up charts. Look at them during your lunch break, look at them during slow periods. Don't get in trouble at work, obviously. But there's some amount of like, hours per week that you're just going to need to have access to a computer. If, you're getting paid and on the clock at a job, that's probably ideal. You can also be a student, take study breaks and, flip over charts. Just don't neglect your school at the same time. You can be a NEET, not in employment, education, or training. If you have money and are able to sustain yourself, um, and are not working and have time to look at computer charts, that could be a setup too. So the $10,000 to invest. So either like, have that you're able to put down and start trading with, or be able to dollar cost average from your income from a job. So you may not have $10,000 now, but say you're able to put $1,000 away a month or $500 away a month, like trade in a way that that money coming in will refill your account and you never burn through and like aren't able to trade from taking too many trades and losing your money in between. Um, so we'll go over more why I think $10,000 is a magic number, but that would be kind of the prerequisite income that I think someone would need to be able to trade with and like start taking trading seriously. And so the plan going through this course, the first steps like get a TradingView account and a futures broker and fund with that $10,000 or at least a couple thousand and be able to put more money in from your job as you go along. The $10,000 is important for a few reasons. The main one is psychological. I think, regardless of how well or poorly you're doing, the $10,000 mark works for you. It would be like a rare person, I think, that would be financially well off enough that $10,000 just doesn't matter at all. So that's an amount of money where pretty much regardless, you'll have skin in the game and, be very disturbed at the thought of losing this money. I think that having the emotional connection to the money you're trading with is important. Like it should be an amount of money that you can afford losing and it won't ruin your life, but also it should be very painful to lose. Because if you lose that money, like it needs to serve as a painful lesson, which improves your trading. If you follow the steps I outlined here, you should not lose that money. But anytime you're putting your money at risk, loss is a concern and something that you should plan for and be okay with as an, possibility. $10,000 also gives you access to trading ES contracts, which we'll get into more when we get into the nitty-gritty, but it's kind of like an amount of margin that will serve as a good baseline to start trading efficiently with right out the gates. And also like income from trading that size. 2% of $10,000 is $200. And you might be somebody that $200 is a good amount of money for. It's something that, it's rewarding to get and see. And, it may be that it's pretty soon into your journey that earning an amount of money like that is easier by trading than through your job. So that's, in a nutshell, the reasoning behind the 10K. So you're going to do that. You're going to study this course and backtest trades on your own time. So you're gonna, go through, learn concepts, take notes, and then hop back on your charts, map out charts the way you want to, play around with settings. Maybe there are other things you want to use, specific colors you want, specific signals you want to focus on. But there's going to be some amount of time that you invest in doing that outside of just watching the videos in this course. You're not going to be able to just watch all these videos and succeed realistically. Once you've done that, you're gonna, just stick to the grind. You're gonna run a system. You're gonna take trades every week, and you're gonna grind out some amount of value and returns from the way that you run this system. And you want to shoot for being able to do this for at least 2 years. I think 2 to 4 is a pretty safe estimate. And if you're hitting like a reasonable amount of returns, it'll probably look like 2 to 6% per week. In the trading world, like 1% a day is very, very good. Not something that major funds or people are hitting at all. But, as a private technical analysis guru, 1% a day is pretty achievable. 2% a day, people will say that they hit. You definitely will have stretches where you hit that much. Um, Not really sustainable. 2% a day is pretty godly. It's 2 to 6% a week when you're in like the grinding phase and, taking this seriously, I think is doable. At some point, we'll go over back testing of the system and, you'll see that perfectly running the system will hit very high above that mark. Um, it's just, actually running it in real life. There will be some amount of loss and, signals you're not taking and mistakes you make. But I think the 2 to 6% weekly is pretty realistic and, will translate to being a huge amount of finances and gains on your account over time. So once you've been doing this and have the experience under your belt and the time, you'll be in that intermediate trader phase, and that's really the goal. To get from beginning, starting out, maybe being a poor intermediate to being just a solid intermediate trader. What is an intermediate trader? Um, Beginner versus intermediate versus master. We'll talk about a little bit here. Um, this isn't like data based. This is more of a thought experiment. Translates across fields, so not just trading. In medicine, this is definitely true as well, just with, different marks for each stage. So beginner in the field of trading, financially, you're breaking even or paying tuition, which is, losing money, paying for services that teach you with a goal of education. So in the beginner stage, like the goal is not to be making money, it's to be building your own skills and getting to a point where you're better. At this stage, you don't really know what you're doing. You maybe have some ideas and know some concepts, but the Dunning-Kruger effect is very much in effect, meaning that like the lower your skill and experience level is, the more people tend to overestimate their own abilities. So it's important to be able to say like, yes, I am a beginner. Yes, the main thing I'm trying to get out of this right now is education and build from there. Um, Probably 90 to 95% of people, if I had to estimate, only ever hit this stage. And this is kind of where the money flows into the system also. Like, every person that goes into trading can't make millions of dollars out of it because then the ecosystem is just printing money out of thin air. Um, the reality is, people come in, these are people that, put $400 in Dogecoin just for fun and then ride it all the way up and then ride it all the way down afterwards and sell at the bottom. Um, these are people that, uh, for what it's worth, the bigger fish, the sharks and whales in the ecosystem take money from. And this is where most people get to. This is the reality of this field, certainly, and a lot of fields too. Like, in medicine, a lot of people go through and you go into a ton of debt, paying, having to pay for your education. Um, there's, always a trade-off to any field, and nobody's giving you money for free. Past the beginner stage, our goal is to hit the intermediate stage solidly. At this stage, you're competent in at least one trading style. You've extensively back tested, meaning looking at historical data to see how your system runs, patched up leaks over time. You have something very solid and you understand the workings of it well, and you're able to, print that estimated value from trades that you take. You've tested it in the past and you've ran it in the present in real time. So you've spent, a lot of days and weeks looking at trades, applying your system to the charts, taking trades, seeing how they turn up. Could be journaling, could be tracking your portfolio progress over time. Um, you've just taken these steps to develop competency. You're not going to be competent without taking, tangible, measurable steps along the way. And by the intermediate stage, like you've done that and you can point to it, and you have proof that you are competent at what you're doing. At this stage financially, trading can be a profitable side hustle, or this is about the stage where you can transition to full time responsibly. So you will be good enough by that stage that it's either, worth scaling back your hours in your regular job, or you can quit your job and just do this full time, or you can use your job for needs like self-fulfillment. Maybe you have an interpersonal job and you just enjoy going in a couple days a week and interacting with coworkers and clients, and that's fine. But the main thing is you don't need to be doing that job for money anymore because you can trade. The master stage, um, you are essentially a master or a world expert in at least one trading style, meaning the style that you use, you know better than really anyone else, and you can run it better than anyone else can. Financially, you've made it. You probably don't even need to be trading anymore, and you could just live off of gains that you've made at this point. This is the top 1% or less, fewer of people actually will get here. The same as any field, you know. This is the 1% of healthcare personnel that are CEOs, whereas, the 90 to 95% are techs and nurses. This course, realistically over the next few years, and following this, you won't get to the master phase, but hopefully you will build the skills where like eventually you're set and can get there on your own once the things covered here are completed. So that was a basic rundown. That's the end for this video. We'll kind of dive a little bit deeper into a few of these concepts, and get more into the actual trading system and the nitty-gritty as we go forward. I hope this was helpful, and thank you for watching.